The Unpopular Opinion Show.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you able to do video?
I am. Can you see me okay? Oh,
I only see your. We only see your picture.
That's my fault. Hold on for 1 second.
Very nice picture, though.
Wait. Oh, thanks. Okay. I think. Am I
There you go.
there?
Hi.
How are
Hey.
you? Hi.
Wow. I'm T Storm. It's Mike Smith.
Hey.
Welcome
Mike.
to the.
Wait. Should I see Mike right now?
If Mike says something, it probably pop up for you.
Guys. It's crazy because I normally Zoom with my laptop and okay, here's the truth. My daughter took it with her. Okay. So I'm zooming through my phone so I can see everybody. So hi.
Okay. Very cool. Hi. You're on the East Coast?
Yeah. Where are you guys?
I'm in New York. Mike is in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Yep. I am right between New York and Philly.
Oh, okay. Okay. We'll start in a second. We were actually running through a couple of different topics and stuff that we had already been talking about.
Okay.
I lived in Philly for about a couple of years. I was in Philly at WRNB.
Okay. You have a little Philly accent.
Do I? Okay, yeah. I probably picked up. Yeah.
I thought you were straight up from Philly.
I wish I could grow the Philly beard, though. I'm not hairy like that.
You're right. You don't want to do that anyway.
No, I really do. I would love
like that really long beard thing.
The really thick, Muslim type.
Yeah, my daughter calls that. We call it the Keebler Elf beard. I don't get that, but what do I know? It does, right? It looks kind of like
it does. Right. Oh man! Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I really am. I put my do not disturb, but I don't know why it's like. But hopefully, it's not gonna interrupt anything.
Okay.
I did put it up.
Yeah. Hopefully, nobody calls me on my tablet. Yeah. That happens from time to time, and I forget. But one, we're big fans. I mean, I can't. So. Seeing pictures of you, I'll just put this out there now. Seeing pictures and videos of you,
yeah,
I don't believe.
I know it's like I have that Benjamin Buttons thing going.
Yes,
no, I kind
That's
of really
the best
do.
way to say it.
But yes, because I'm the same age as Sade and Angela Bassett, and it's funny because they look amazing. They're like black girl magic. But the funny thing is, like lately, honestly. Because I do a show with my daughter and everybody's like, you guys are twinning. And Sinbad, the comedian, always says like, mothers love that. The daughters are going to need therapy. So like, my daughter is gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
Yes,
she's always like, oh yeah, that's cool. But now she's like, okay, we're not twins. Anyway, I love it.
Yes, and the show is The Family Room. You guys do that twice a week, or you do one show and you rebroadcast it?
Yeah, we started out with Saturdays. And the reason why is because the brand always had really big following overseas. Because we had a lot of hits, I would say like maybe 3 before We Are Family overseas. So we have a big following, the Sledge brand. And the reason we do Saturdays is I cater to. We did Saturdays at 12:45. So that makes it, 9:45 on the West Coast. So I always have a cup of coffee for whoever is in the room for the West Coast. And Kristen, my daughter, she has a glass of wine because she's definitely of age to drink. But then what we started noticing is folks from Europe started like popping up with their cocktail emojis because it's 5:30 there. So with that said, that was a prime time for us to do Saturdays because I can reach the following overseas. But now we're having such a good time with it. And we've been getting some strong feedback. We do Wednesday nights and we just have wine on Wednesday. We have wine on Wednesday, no coffee.
No coffee. Well, I mean, I like my coffee with rum in it or, so.
It's okay. I like mine with Baileys with rum. That's really good.
I do rum. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. Shouldn't have told me that.
So why'd you guys start the Family Room?
It's crazy, but we were talking to networks. I produce shows. I produce live shows, and I produce. I produced a show about Billie Holiday because people say I bring Billie to life. So I thought, let's do Billie in a way that she'd be proud. We know the heavy story, and I produce live concert shows. And I'll talk about that in our interview. But then I produced a show about the next generation of We Are Family because all the sisters have daughters that are HBCU grads. They're gorgeous girls, really, they're my nieces. And here's what's crazy. They harmonize like the sisters and their cousins.
Wow.
So I put together a show called Sledge Girl, which is my daughter's Twitter name. And the We Network wanted to pick it up. But one of the sisters pulled her daughters. And so I was like, you know what? The next thing I'll do a mother-daughter thing. So Kristen and I were actually kind of like Diana and Tracy or Goldie Hawn and Kate Hudson. And we thought, first of all, I'm sitting on a worldwide brand called We Are Family. And really the whole idea was, I like the Ellen show. And I noticed that Ellen has home good products. And I'm like, if Ellen can sell sheets and pillowcases, you can't tell me the We Are Family lady can't. So that's how it started. It started like that was the whole idea of Family Room. But when the quarantine happened, it was deep. I really thought about it. I was like, what can we do? And I'm sure you feel the same way. That's why we're here. It's like, what can we do to reach out, especially to folks who are quarantining alone? And we came up with, actually, it was my daughter's idea. She's like, you know what, Mom? We were about to pitch this to networks. Let's just start within these four walls. And that is really the birth of Family Room.
That's great. That's dope.
So you guys had some heavyweights come through and bless you with being on the show.
Yeah, it's crazy because we do this little thing. I don't know if you've seen the show yet, but it's very organic. It's starting to just come to life because the people in the room are bringing it to life. Like we have one woman she's a sister and she's a psychologist. So she'll come in and talk to the folks. But then there's a side of her that's crazy. Okay. And she's, her IG name is God's Lovely Lady. But what's so cool is just through my colleagues and friends, we have this little segment called Paul McCartney, someone's knocking at the door, someone's ringing the bell. And so we do this little thing where somebody's coming in the room and you never know who it can be. So we started reaching out and like Niall was there last week. And the fun thing is you never know who's going to be in the room. So
that's fantastic.
So when you say now, you mean Nile Rodgers?
Rodgers, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had the honor of interviewing Mr. Nile Rodgers a few years ago.
Did you?
He has so many
It's insane.
records.
It's insane.
It was things like I didn't know, like doing some research, finding out that he did the sound, he did the music for the Eddie Murphy movie. Coming to America. Coming to America. Yes, he did the music for that.
I wrote a song on that. Coming to America.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
It's the scene where Arsenio Hall has hooked up the apartment. And,
yes.
got the money, hooked up the apartment, and it's called Living the Good Life.
Yes.
And but no, Niall is so talented. He just, I remember when he used to do the Chic tour, and he used to have, like a girl up front singing all the Chic hits. And I'll never forget, like one time, it might have been overseas, I was over there and I saw a show and the sister did, I Want Your Love, she sang that song like a ballad. And I remember telling him, why are you doing that like a ballad? Like that's like your song. And what you don't realize, I think, is instead of calling it the Chic Show, you should call it Nile Rodgers, because just don't do the Chic hits. People don't have any idea. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that told them this, but no one has any idea how many hits he wrote until you go to his show.
Yeah.
Like, David Bowie, Let's Dance, Madonna, Material Girl. My sisters and I are actually doing the background on Material Girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know, what's crazy is when he did the interview with us, with my daughter and I last Saturday, what he said he did, and I didn't realize this, he calls up people because he has these relationships. Like he told me John Hall, Hall and Oates actually did the background on a Duran Duran song, and Duran Duran did the background on a Sister Sledge remix. And he just calls these, and we did the background on Madonna. And so he's, you know, that's Niall though. He's pretty genius with how he writes. I'm talking to him now. I wrote a song with Jimmy Jam of Jam and Lewis.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about that. I thought my Do Not Disturb was on. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. It's okay.
I did put it on, I swear, but I did it wrong. Anyway,
it may happen to me too. So
I'm the absolute worst with technology. I halt the show often trying to get technology to work. So
and I don't feel so bad. You know, my daughter and I mean, we're so bad in the family room that we have this nickname. And whenever there's a mess up, I'm like, it's the Loving Hands at Home production.
I call it.
Like, what do you do?
I call it the Teddy Riley experiment every time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, that was pretty bad.
So here's a question. I didn't know you guys were from Philly, right?
Yeah.
So how did you guys end up linking up with Nile Rodgers,
as opposed to Kenny Gamble or Gamble and Huff? Like, did you guys ever have any talks or work with him on anything?
We did. Like, we tried out. We did audition for Gamble and Huff. Of course, like I want to say I was around 12. But what people don't know is I really have been singing. We had hits overseas when I was 13, 14. Wow. That I'm actually writing my memoirs now. I'm excited about. It'd be too early to say the name of the person doing the film, but we've been talking about a We Are Family, Sister Sledge story, like the truth behind the music. But what's so crazy is we did songs when I was 14 overseas, and we auditioned for Gamble and Huff, but they literally said we were too young. And, you know, I get it now because I think the song we were auditioning, and I was around 14, was that When Will I See You Again by the 3 Degrees. And that was very mature lyrics for a 13-year-old to be singing. But we did try out for them, and everyone asked that question. And the answer to that is, honestly, we would have loved to have been with the Philadelphia Sound. Nile Rodgers and the late Bernard Edwards, the way they tell the story is very interesting. We were on a list of groups that the record company handed them and said, choose one of these groups to produce. And what's crazy is they had just had major hits with, I think, Yowza, 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 and, you know, Everybody Dance.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on that list. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the record company wanted them to produce the Rolling Stones because they were mega then. They had success. And they were like, no. If we produce Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, it's going to be an instant hit. We want to prove to the world that we really are great producers. So give us some obscure group that no one knows about. And that would be us. So we did this obscure group. No one knew about us in the United States. And the rest was history with We Are Family.
Wow.
So that cool. happened, you said about around the age of 13, 14. I was reading, you guys were... By the time I
recorded Family, though, I was 16.
Okay. But when you around the 13, 14, you guys had the opportunity to do the Zaire 74, the Rumble in the Jungle. How was that?
I was 14, and that I can remember that like yesterday. And it's interesting because some things you want to forget, you don't remember. But that I remember. And, you know, when this is over, I'll send you a picture. I have a picture that I took. I didn't take it, but a journalist took it. And I'm standing next to George Foreman, and I kid you not, I think I come up to his belt buckle. And, this, you know, because the history of the fight was it was in Zaire, Africa. And the then president Mobutu was really a dictator, but Mobutu and Don King wanted to make lots of money. They were going to make this huge campaign of Rumble in the Jungle, and they expected tourists to come. And unfortunately, not a lot of tourists came. And then George Foreman got a cut on his eye. You know the history of the fight. We were supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but he had a cut. And that cut made it so that we had to stay over there for like 8 weeks because he had to heal in order to fight. But that was interesting because we were all over there much longer than we thought. We loved it, but the hotel bill was much higher. That's another story. But you know, that was it was a lot of politics and the creative side. I was just like, which I was a kid, but like a kid in Candyland because I was, you know, able to work with people like James Brown and the Pointer Sisters and a lot of international eclectic acts like Hugh Masekela and Mary Makiba. And, you know, and so it was this world kind of combination of all these artists doing this huge concert right before the fight. And if you saw the movie that Will Smith did about what I always wondered why they didn't put this in the movie, but there was a hugely significant thing that happened over there. Because, you know, if you see the movie, you see all the people around the ring screaming, Ali, Mumbai, Ali, you know, because it was and that really did happen. Right. But what they left out is Mobutu thought that he was going to make a lot of money. So he was charging everyone $20 in order to see the fight. But the people that lived there, the indigenous people, that's kind of like what they made in 2 months. So before the fight, and he built an 80,000 seater or size arena. Right. Before the fight, it was completely empty because, and the people that lived there were pretty much hanging off the gates to come in. And what I thought was huge was George Foreman and Ali got together in their backstage dressing room and they said, we're not stepping in that ring unless you open those gates. And, you know, to me, that just gives me goosebumps because the idea of being able to have all the people that were supporting and coming that lived there weren't allowed to go because they didn't have the money. So those two brothers got together and said, we're not fighting unless you open those gates. So, you know, if you see the movie again, you'll see it's like thousands of people in that Coliseum. Whereas honestly, there were none in the beginning of it. So that was kind of, to me, a heartstring story of something that really happened that they don't talk about.
That's really cool. Yeah, I had no idea. And I mean, I'm a little too young to remember the Rumble in the Jungle, but
I don't even know if were you born.
I don't.
But, you know, because I was 74.
I was 1.
Me too. I was 1 year old.
You don't remember? Anyway.
Very cool. That's very cool.
I have like 100-year-old people come up to me and tell me they grew up listening to my music. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, man. Wow. I can't hear, you know, We Are Family without thinking about my great aunts. My grandmother has 4 sisters. They were really close. It reminded me of you and your sisters. When I hear that song, I immediately think of the 5 sisters, my grandmother and her 4 sisters.
You know, we get that all the time. And to this day, no matter what, I will always be most proud that I always say we are that family that brought the world together as a family through a song. And, you know, another cool story is We Are Family was literally written about us. Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards were in the office with the then president of Warner Brothers Atlantic Records. And he started describing us. You know, he said, you got to meet these girls. You got to write a song about them. They're family. They flock together like birds of a feather whenever they come up to the label and blah, blah, blah. So Nile and Bernard started taking notes about us to write a song about us. And so those lyrics are really are a portrait of a description of who we were. And
that's really cool. So had you guys met them yet before they wrote the song?
You know, he just reminded me, and I didn't even realize this. now this reminded me that we hadn't met until it was time to make the song. You know, we met them in the studio for the session of the We Are Family session. And another thing too is I wasn't allowed to hear any of the songs until it was time to sing them. So record them.
Wait, so you were in the studio and you were singing the songs just blind. You'd hear it there, demo vocals or whatever, and then you go in the booth and sing it.
Oh yeah, Greatest Dancer, literally. And these guys were so talented. Originally, that song, I Want Your Love, I Want Your Love, that was our song. And He's the Greatest Dancer was their song. And at the last minute, they flipped it. So if you listen closely to I Want Your Love, there's a part that goes, You're me. That's Sister Sledge. That's us doing that because that was our record. And they just flipped it and said, no, you're going to do Greatest Dancer. With Greatest Dancer, I really remember the way I recorded that song. It was like, okay, cut. One night in the disco, okay, cut. And now sing On the Outskirts of Frisco. On the Outskirts of Frisco, okay, cut. So I learned it as I was singing it, you know.
Wow.
And We Are Family, same thing. We Are Family, I always feel special about the fact that We Are Family was actually, the ad-lib was done in one take. And that's, now of course, they took it and they spliced it around and they edited it how it should be. But I remember doing like the ad-lib. And then when I was finished, I was ready to do it again. And they were like, no, we got it. Yeah, so you know, it was a great marriage working with them, and I always feel like they were ahead of their time. Niall talked about how their heroes were Gamble and Huff, and then I interviewed Jimmy Jam too the week before Niall, and he was saying their heroes were Niall and Bernard. So it's like just keep passing the torch.
Yeah. Oh wow. What was it like touring for you? I mean, to be that young and on the road, and how did you feel?
Tour?
Yeah.
You know, it was hard work. And sometimes it felt like one long day. Okay. Because what we didn't expect, I was used to working. I mean, I have been working all my life, honestly. Like I jokingly say I have the real Hannah Montana life when I was a little girl. Because we would like go overseas, do these concerts. And then I'd come home and get on the bus and go to school. And I mean, the concerts, we would do the Tokyo Music Festival with the Commodores and we come in second place. And then I'd come home and I get on the bus and I go to school. And then I go back to England and we do some sellout festivals that we headline. And then I come home and I get on the bus and I go to school. And I would want to talk about it with my friends, but it just didn't fit. Like what did you do this weekend? I went to the mall. I went shopping. I went to Japan.
Right.
But now, honestly, in retrospect, it really gave me a balance in life because I realized to this day, one is your work that you love and it's your passion. And one is your life and your life comes first. And I think if you don't have that balance, that's when you can get it confused. And I think a lot of artists sometimes when they don't have the accolades or when they're not, they feel like they're not, that's their purpose. And you have to understand that your purpose is, you have to find what your purpose is, your passion, maybe your music, but and still to this day, and I always ask, now I'm going to flip the interview, but I always ask this question, like, we know our passion, your passion is obviously what you're doing is your passion.
Right.
But sometimes it takes a lifetime to know your purpose. I'm still finding my purpose.
I think it was, I think Steve Harvey had talked about that a little bit on an interview or something I saw a long time ago. And I thought that concept was very impactful because I think up until that point, I had just married the two notions together. Well, if I'm passionate about it, it must be my purpose. But it was at that point that I stopped and said, okay, really let me look at my life and figure out what is my purpose. And sometimes you can figure that out and merge the two things together, which hopefully that's what we're doing here right now.
Right.
So
you're right.
The show with your daughter, is that your passion or your purpose?
Funny you should say that. I thought my purpose was to, anybody that knows me would tell you that I'm very driven and in a good way. You know what you like. I can sometimes be a workaholic at things. And so I loved the idea of branding and coming up with a talk show idea, because this is a way to reconnect the dots. And We Are Family, I always say, it's a brand that's going to be here when we're all long gone. So let's give that brand life. But what I'm realizing is when I started doing Family Room, there's a whole deep purpose with that, especially now with our quarantine, because it started out actually with me singing songs. I would get some requests from fans or friends, Facebook people that would say, look, they would instant message me or DM me or send a message to me and ask me, especially when the quarantine first started, they're like, can you sing some songs? Like, can you sing some songs? Just go on Facebook and sing songs. So it took me a while to think what songs. And I really didn't want to do it like, oh, wow, I have a captive audience now. Let me sing. It was more like, wow, this, honestly, this whole thing, when you think about it, is really crazy what we're going through. And it's kind of scary too. And I said, especially with folks quarantining alone. So I thought about it and was like, well, I'd love to sing songs. I would love to use this voice if it gives comfort. And I started this Songs of Comfort series. And I would just once every Sunday sing a song of comfort. Like the first song was I Say a Little Prayer for You. Mm-hmm. And then Easter weekend, I think I sang Balm of Gilead. And then, I would just sing songs. And then from that's when Kristen came to me and said, why don't we do Family Room here? Now what we're finding is Club Quarantine started playing one of our songs, and it became...
Shout out to D Nice, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to D Nice. He started playing Thinking of You. And so then I became the queen of Club Quarantine without my, I was like, wow, that's cool. So then I started sitting with Kristen and coming up with the idea of Family Room. And now what I'm realizing, to answer your purpose question, is it wasn't even about branding as much as I think one of the press releases said, where Club Quarantine is a place where people come to dance and sing and congregate. We Are Family is starting to be a place where people celebrate love. And I'm seeing so much, not to sound cliche-ish, but there's so much love in that room. Like, people are supportive of each other. And I got to tell you, there's some deep things that happen. Like, someone might come on and he might break down and cry and tell you they lost an aunt. And then all of a sudden across the screen, you'll just see all these prayer hands, like people lifting them up. And that's kind of, I'm feeling, what? The purpose is honestly much bigger than what I ever imagined. And that is, if people are finding comfort in that room, and I am too, then it's much needed for all of us.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like that might be the purpose more and more.
Yeah, I got to identify with that. Like when the quarantine first started, I mean, still to this day, when I leave the house to go to the grocery store or whatever, it's just a bizarre feeling. It's just surreal. I can't believe
me too.
This is happening.
And
no, I'm agreeing with you. It's like Twilight Zone.
Yeah. And so I started, me and some other friends of mine, we started to do, and then realizing there were people that were in the clubs, like the DJs and stuff, that people that lost income for having to be home. And we did a quarantine-a-thon, like the first weekend. We did a quarantine-a-thon and donated money to like some of the DJs that that lost income or whatever. But I came out of the clubs, when I started having kids, and it was like, and now I don't really enjoy being in the clubs anymore. I still like to do events, but not so much the clubs. But in any case, all that to say, DJing was therapeutic for me as well.
You know what I mean? To be able to go on and to connect with people and play music, and
you get that instant response, people appreciating music, and it gives them something else
to think about other than the crisis that we're in.
Yeah, it's like, in a way, it's like escaping, but at the same time, coming to a place where everybody's in the same room. Like I jokingly say with family room, I sometimes, when it starts up, I'm like, hello, this is a new outside for a minute. Let's all meet up here. And it's, and now more and more we're starting to read articles about mental health. Because, in the beginning, like, we were all like, okay, we got to do this. Let's roll up our sleeves. I'm going to clean out that closet. I'm going to get to the things I said my closet still needs to be clean. It's like, because now I'm like, we're going on 6 months with this now.
Right.
And I just can't, like what they call the new normal. I'm like, there's nothing normal about this. I can't, I can't get past the mask. I mean, I wear a mask, of course. But, when I see these ads, like get your designer mask, I'm like, no.
Right. Matching your mask to the outfits now. It's a thing.
I know.
Yo.
It's crazy to me. Says, I just pray. I just say, we experienced this with the Spanish flu, but truthfully, it took 5 years, at least for the field that I'm in, like festivals. It took 5 years for people to get comfortable again in huge crowds, but it did go away. And I always say, and this too shall pass. And that's just the faith in me. I just feel like, we're going to get through this, we have to, because, I can't imagine it like this is the new world. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I'm with you. I tell my kids I have two grown sons and I have a toddler.
Yeah.
And everyone's in the house now. Like I usually work from home. I was already working from home. Mm-hmm. Now everybody's home and working. And my wife is working from home. Everybody's working. So I feel like everybody's crowding my space now, but that's a whole nother story. But
I know, but it's funny, but the same thing, like my daughter was in LA and my son too. And we were like, we think y'all should come home. That's when they were like, going to be a lockdown for a month. Something told me this is going to be longer than a month. And now, even though I hear you, it's like we're on top of each other. But, it's kind of like we're here and that's good. We're together.
Exactly. And I keep everybody,
I feel like I got to keep everybody like close just to make sure nothing happens and stay on them don't think this is a game. It's not a joke. People are clown with it or whatever and believe that it's some sort of hoax. Nah, we got family that passed away. We got family that got sick from this. We got friends that got sick from this. So don't take this as a joke. It's like the younger folks, some of them don't take it as seriously.
Right. It's funny too, because this thing, it just mutates. It does whatever it wants to do. It's almost like it's not a virus. It has a mind of its own. You think it can just do this. And all of a sudden it's like, well, actually I could do that too. And, you think it's, you hear that you can't catch it again if you had it before. And then you are hearing, actually, that's not true. Right. And at the end of the day, or actually, if you're asymptomatic to it, you'll be fine. Or there might be herd immunity that so many of us really do have it, but we've acquired a sense of immunity to it and we don't even realize it. I've heard that too. And, so it's just like, you don't know what this is, but that's where the faith comes in. Cause I'm like, that's to me, that's what gets me through.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's crazy.
I was doing some reading on you and just kind of listening to hear you talk about your faith and how that gets you through. You actually kind of had a bit of a tough upbringing that really sounded like it built some strength in you, just in how you dealt with living in the neighborhood that you lived in Philly and going to school. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, but when I grew up in Southwest Philly and West Philly, there was such a sense of neighborhood. I mean, and there is now. I mean, I don't live there now, but I think, what people don't realize, we always hear the heavy stuff in certain areas, but there's such a sense of community too that you don't hear about. And I know growing up where I grew up, there was a huge sense of community. Sometimes our days where we had our least, we were our happiest. It was the later days. And I do go into that in my memoirs. We went through a lot. At one point I got sued by my sisters, two of them. And because, it got a little crazy. It doesn't mean that we're not family. It doesn't mean we're not sisters. Actually, It means we're a family in every bit of the way. Now that that's public, when people ask me about it, I go, yeah, that happened, blah, blah, blah. Then I usually say, now what's in your wallet?
In the beginning of this, when we started,
be crazy.
I said, you got a loving family. You really got a loving family when you experience a fight at a funeral.
I just saw that for the first time.
Like, what funerals is when it really comes out. Funerals, like, or don't have a property. Right. But you can. Laughter heals the heart. And I just did. Somebody asked me a question in an interview not so long ago. It was like, "How do you stay youthful?" I got that question, and I think I can honestly say, you have to look at life. You have to laugh. You have to, you have to have a merry heart, as like opposed to what, it can be heavy. Yeah. But I actually, to get through this therapeutically or cathartically, there were some heavy times. And as I write, and actually I'm finishing up these memoirs for a movie deal. And the person that I really wanted to do it is doing it. And I still have to give them the last 2 chapters. And the one thing I said, which is true, as long as it has, we have our madness, but as long as it has a redemptive ending, as long as the ending is no matter what, your family, no matter what. And, my story can be, and we were family,
Right.
We are family.
Exactly.
And so, but I realized that the hardest part for me to write is that heavy stuff. It's heavy. And now I have to finish it. But, it happens. And it doesn't mean that there's no love there. I think India.Arie had a song out that talks about, I think there's a line in there that goes something about there's no greater hurt than that of a kin. Like it reaches deeper in the skin or something like that. But and I should do my homework before I try to quote her lyrics. But I knew it pulled at me when I heard that line. I was like, wow, only your family can leave something deep, and hurt. And because it is love. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think anybody can understand that. And to answer the beginning of the question about growing up, it wasn't really tough times in West Philly, in Southwest Philly. It was some of our best times. It was when we didn't have much money. It was when, and we when we grew up in Southwest Philly, like your great grandmother, her sisters, I had 5 aunts and 2 uncles, grandfather, grandmother, my mom, my sisters, my little cousin. We all lived in the same house. But you want to know something? It wasn't like, what are they doing here?
Right.
It was like I used to, watch my uncles and aunts. Like I used to get such joy. I mean that, like sitting on the plastic couch, like watching them do the bop in the living room. And those times are, to me, it's almost like, and I think that all of us can reach back and go, wow, we remember. There are times, you always have that uncle that has a little bit too much to drink at the wedding and tells you how much he loves you. Y'all know. There's always that uncle. And so, I love you.
You smell the Hennessy a little too close. You're like, that's Hennessy.
I might be that uncle.
What did you say?
I think I might be that uncle.
Then we turn into that. We got carried a legacy. But all that stuff, to me, that is what family is. And, I think, and I really had to realize it's like no better person to be able to tell that story, at least me personally. I had to come to know that than the person that sings that song. I experienced, and we all have, but I can share these experiences and know that we can all relate to them.
Yeah. So
maybe that's another purpose.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing Family Room. Wednesdays at 8 Eastern, Saturdays 12:30 Eastern, 12:30 p.m.
It's actually 12:45 now.
12:45.
We're always a little late, my daughter and I.
Oh, we're on a CP time? Oh, man.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny? The people that come know, they're like, y'all are late. They tell us, we're like, we know, it's okay. We're family.
Well, you know, there's a history to where CP time came from. It's actually named after a brother named Carl Perkins. And he was to get up. I'm joking. It's not. There's no real Carl Perkins. No.
Okay, I believe you.
Carl Perkins was always early.
Are you talking about the Carl? Because there is a Carl Perkins.
Oh no! This was just a joke. I
thought there was a radio personality that but he was on I think he was on like WRTI, like a jazz station. Because
okay. Well, we'll have to look and find out if he ever got hit by a bus because he was too early.
Yeah,
and,
or if he was ever really late.
Right. Right. It became the late CP
you might
time.
be saying a real fact.
Exactly.
When jokes become facts.
Like, how did he know that?
How did he know? It's a pleasure and an honor speaking with you today.
Well, again,
we are really fans, big fans. Thank you.
Family Room.
Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays at 12:45 on IG Live.
On IG Live, we're talking to other platforms now, but we're loving it on IG Live. I'm starting to think that these phones are spoiling us because you can just like go right in the room. And,
it's definitely changed how people consume content.
I know. So my agent was talking to me the other day. They're like, we're talking to some networks about Family Room. I'm like, I kind of like it right in my hand. I think this quarantine is changing. I mean, you want to be like right there. You kind of don't even want to turn on the television. You want to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
So it is IG Live for now.
Okay. What's just a pause for a second. What is the IG? So I can say it
Kathy
correctly.
Sledge. If you just go to my IG and follow me, it's every Saturday. You'll see that I'm live and just come on in the room. And of course, on Wednesday evenings, it's a little more like sexier on Wednesday evenings. Like, Kristen and I, we wear black on Wednesday evenings, but it's kind of cool because
I'm gonna have to pop in.
Yeah.
Bring my Cavassier.
We talk about different topics on Wednesdays, but anyway, come on.
You were just that uncle just now, T.
Yeah, I'm that's me all day. Uncle T. Hey, what's happening? What's happening, nephew?
Well, when you come in, don't worry, we're going to talk about that. We always say, bring your glass of wine, because we have a little wine. We make a toast.
Hey, you want to talk about your music? You got new music out.
I do. It's funny. I haven't talked about my new music, and this is just the artist in me, because I feel like there's so many other things people are interested in right now, like a quarantine and a coronavirus out the window. But I do have a record overseas that's doing very well. It's getting a lot of major, I guess you could say, outlets picking it up. And I'm actually a guest artist on, okay, brace yourself. But the name of the producers, and they're very famous overseas, they're called Horse Meat Disco.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh,
yeah. I love the name.
It's a crazy name. And when I met the guys, but they're very big over there, and they have a following. And I would say they're like in their 30s and 40s, and they kind of brought back this whole idea of music having integrity to dance music, as opposed to using just sound effects. But they started this big following, and now we did a guest appearance thing, and now the record is really picking up in a really nice way. So we'll see what happens. But it's called Jump Into the Light. The guys are they're very strong producers.
I like the record. We listened to it. I love the record. It's pretty dope. It got some kind of funky. And it's inspired me to come up with my own group. I'm gonna do a group called Hot Dog Party, and we'll just go with this.
I'm gonna tell the Horse Meat Disco guys. You never know. Over there like a fly.
Pig feet roller skate rink. I don't know. I just throw a bunch of shit out.
You have to use an animal, and then you have to use a type of music.
Oh, that's how that works?
So that's what they did. So
Bigfoot opera.
Funny? You know what? I'm actually going to bring them on the show because they have a strong following in Europe. And I'm going to ask them, how did they come up with that name? I'm sure. If I'm not mistaken, I believe one of the guys saw this. They literally saw this newspaper article and it said something about a horse meat disco and they took it.
That's cool.
Hey,
listen, that's how I got my name, T Storm. So, yeah, so not from a newspaper, from a book. I was a kid at the time. I was writing raps, and my pen name at the time was something like T Ice or Ice T, and I was like, oh, there's already an Ice T. I got to come up with something. So I'm sitting in the living room, replacing my name, with a bunch of stuff in the room. T Medium, no, that's not going to work. T Desk, no, that's not going to work. And there was a book in the cabinet, Storm Warning, and I said, T Storm.
Wow.
I like it, and I've been T Storm ever since.
Yeah, it works. It definitely works. Yeah. Well, our name, and I need to go, but our name was a mistake. We were always the Sledge Sisters. And the DJ was drunk one night and he introduced us backwards. And we're like, okay, let's keep it.
There goes the drunk uncle with the DJ this time. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to say right now, it's Sister Sledge.
And we're like, no, it's the Sledge Sisters. And then my oldest sister, Carol, who's my best friend, she was like, that sounds kind of good. Y'all should keep it. And that was that simple.
That's dope. It is. Yeah, man.
Thank you for hanging with us, man. It's been an honor. And you have to tell us where the Fountain of Youth is, because I'm convinced that you know where it is and you're kind of holding out.
Well, I do this. I used to teach fitness for 18 years, but honestly, I really mean that. I keep a merry heart. I had this makeup artist that told me this once. Now brace yourself, because this is a very profound line. And she said, God gives you the face you're born with, and life will give you the face you deserve. Isn't that deep?
Wow. That is, wow.
That's heavy. Because you ever go to school with somebody, she might have been beautiful, but she was a bitch.
Yeah.
And you see her now? Really, though, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true.
You might go to school with someone and they were maybe kind of homely or whatever, but you see them now because, they're radiant. What I really do believe is what's inward does come out. And I'd like to believe that that's what's most important. So I basically think that just like keep a merry heart. This is really, when people ask me that, I just say, drink lots of water. I drink water. I read somewhere, whatever your body weight is, you should really have half that in ounces every day. I don't do that, but I try to. But especially on a serious note, during the quarantine, we got to stay healthy,
Yeah.
But that's my advice is just,
okay.
Let it roll off your shoulders. Don't carry a lot of stuff with you.
Okay. So real quick, Horseface Kendra, Kathy said, you look like you deserve, basically. Okay. Done. Sorry.
Wait, say that again.
Somebody went to school.
I was just passing a message on to a woman that I know named, that's not important. I'll leave it alone. That's kind of petty of me.
Okay. I just got it.
Having a moment.
No, that's deep, but that line, when you really think about it, you go, wow, that's pretty deep. And you say, no wonder.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
no, I've seen, I ran into some people I went to junior high school. We're the same age, and woo.
I know I used to have this person who used to always show up and he'd go, we go to school together. And I'm like, don't know. One time he said, when he turned his back, I was like, it was the same building. It was not the same year.
we were on the same block, not the same year.
Yeah. But then there's another one that I use a lot, and it's age. Let me think this one out because it's really good. It's getting older is inevitable. Aging is an option. That's it. That's it. Because you
need to put these on T-shirts.
Yeah.
Mugs.
Fortune cookies or something. Like, yeah.
What's funny though, on this again serious note, I do think about those things. It is It really is an option. Like when I was teaching fitness and I taught it for 18 years, I used to come up with these ideas of what I would name if I wanted to have a company. And one that I came up with that I never used, but it's true. I was going to call it Any Body You Want. Because in the end, you really can have any body you want.
Right.
But it's hard work. But you know what? You know, and I'm not where I want to be yet. I mean, we always know there's someplace else we want to be with whatever. But I do know this. I know that with everything, it's having discipline.
I like that. Anybody you want.
Yeah.
That sounds like a mantra when I was single.
Well, I didn't mean it that way.
I'm in the club like anybody you want, bro.
That's right.
I'm married now. I'm very happily married now. This is
occasionally she'll pee down the stairs.
Why is going to hear this and punch me in my eye? Really?
That's what you mean?
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble.
Yeah. She'll cuss me in Spanish and be over with it. She'll be cool. Yeah. You know, Miss Kathy Sledge. Kathy Sledge.
You don't look like Miss. Let me just, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We have had just an honor talking to you. Congratulations on the show, Family Room. Looking forward to see it on network because I believe it's going to happen.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll see.
A lot sooner than later because this is the time for it. And we look
the time for it. We're feeling that too. We're excited about that.
We're looking forward to connecting with you again.
Sometimes. I mean,
absolutely.
Come in the room and I always say, make the request and we get to talk and laugh and it's really fun. We have a lot of fun.
I'll shoot you. I could shoot you the email and
well, you're on Instagram. Just follow me and I'll follow you back. And then
all right, we'll do that now.
Yeah, both of you guys, make sure you follow us. And yeah.
So
and if I know you're in the room, I'm going to call you out.
So I'll have to set up an IG account to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
I purged from social media for the most part a couple of years ago. It was too much. It was just all of the trolls and haters and the negativity. And I started to see how that affected my day to day. And I just punched out. It's like, okay, I'm done.
That's so true. I mean, I was reading another article how that is actually really like affecting people heavily. But what I've learned is that balance thing. Like you gotta, and I'll find myself sometimes because I'm always editing things from Family Room or looking or sending out ideas. And I have to say, go away from that phone. But if you jump in and get an IG, then just come in for Family Room and then don't go on.
I will do it for you. I will do it to be able to come to the Family Room.
All right. I would like that. You guys will have fun. We have fun.
I'm in there with my bottle of Cavassier. So look for me.
You're joking, but people are in there with that. Let me tell you.
I'm not joking. I'm dead serious.
Okay. Then make sure you do that on Wednesday night.
Oh, listen. Since
Corona, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I know. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy. Well, we will get through.
Absolutely.
We will get through.
Thank you again for joining us, man. We could talk to you for hours, but we appreciate your time and thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much. And see you guys in the Family Room. And thank you. That's fun.
Absolute pleasure.
All right. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye.
Need a daily dose of jokes? Like, subscribe, smash the notification button, and you'll get jokes in your inbox basically every week.
Absolutely. Because we like cats. No, that's the wrong. God damn it.